thank you for being here. I'm Joan, and today we're going to be going over my November wrap. Now, I only finished, and I say only, like I don't usually, but I finished 4 books in November, but it still turned out to be like a pretty slow burn month for me. It ended pretty good, so I'm going to count that as a win. So, starting off, we have Tinfoil Butterfly by Rachel Moulton. And this one was violently mediocre. It wasn't bad, but I just feel very ambivalent about it. The gist of it is we're following this 18-year-old girl named Emma who basically just got done getting an emergency surgery after she was attempting suicide with her stepbrother who she had a relationship with through a cocaine overdose. So keep in mind, throughout this book, she's apparently withdrawing from cocaine, but you can't really tell. That's a lot going on, right off the bat. So she's grappling with the fact that she can't have kids because I think either she needs to get a hysterectomy done fully because of the cancer. I think it's endometriosis or something. And her stepbrother did end up dying in that suicide attempt. And I promise you, that's literally as deep as it goes. So, throughout the book, it would say things like she wanted him to hurt and that they had a toxic bond, but they only really showed a couple of scenes and they were towards the end of the book. So, at that point, I still don't feel like I know why they were in that relationship. Her dad died and she got mad that her mom remarried, and she was mad that the stepdad, loved her mom and treated her well because her dad, did not. He was an alcoholic, and she kinda has him on, a pedestal, but that's really it. And so, that's kinda, my biggest grievance with why I didn't really like the book is because I really just wanted to know why all these things were happening instead of just watching them happen. Like, there wasn't a lot of, character depth or analysis, which, she's 18 and she really does read like she's 18, so props for that. But with any of the characters, I can't really say, much about them because they were also kind of inconsistent. So, the main characters that we spend the most time with is Emma and Earl. And so Earl is a boy living at that mining town who she kind of gets this sort of maternal feeling for, but kind of flip-flops on that too, but not in like a way to show her confliction of how she's feeling about not being able to have kids and then wanting to take care of this kid, but she's 18 and she's unstable. But it's just kind of jarring more than anything. There's no introspection or deep thought. It's just the same phrases and reasonings being repeated. And there's a lot of repetition in this too. And Earl is supposedly 8 years old, but he will sometimes talk like an 8-year old and then sometimes seems a lot older than that. I will say that it was very cinematic and I really did like the imagery that Moulton brings. She's very vibrant and imaginative, and I really could see where the characters were, what their surroundings looked like, what they were doing, and I thought that was really well done. And so there's only really 6 characters, maybe 7 if you count this one person that adds literally nothing to the plot except for at the very beginning. And so there's Emma Earl, her mom, her stepbrother. Her stepdad's, not in the book, at all. What I told you is what I know about him. And then there is George, who I'm going to call the antagonist, but I'm going to use that really loosely. Most of Emma's conflicts comes from her feelings about the relationships that she has with her family. So, like I said before, her dad was an alcoholic who had died. I don't really remember how. The scenes that we have with her mom are either in memory or over the phone. And so there's not a lot that is brought up from that except that she really hates her mom. You can see that her mom really wants to help her. And, like, I guess you could say that there's a little bit of growth, like, at the very end, but since it ends how it does, that just doesn't feel like anything that really works for me. And so, George, as the antagonist, George is Earl's father. And apparently, he killed Earl's mother, who we never meet or really know too much about, except for what Earl says. But he has like a bad leg because Earl was trying to kill him at the beginning of the book. And okay, so there is no like real motivation or real characterization. He honestly just feels like a Michael Myers character because quite literally, there's a scene where they get in a Jeep and drive like 2 miles away. Why am I flipping 2 pages where they're just talking to each other and George appears and starts shooting? There's no fucking way he got over there in that short ass amount of time. Like, and that happened more than once. Like, he just appears and it happens like 4 times. So I don't really like count him really as an antagonist because he is one in like the most basic way possible. And so, with the relationship that she has with her stepbrother, I'm assuming that you would think that that would be like a huge part of the book. Nope. I only know like this much about the relationship. There was only like 4 or 5 flashbacks, like total. All I want to know is why. Like, why did they gravitate towards each other? How did they keep being toxic towards each other? Because, like, she's mean to him, but it's not showing me why she likes him in the first place or why they want to be together at all. Kind of like a kill your gaze trope in a way, but like there's no continuity, I guess. Like it's kind of just sprung on you, but you already know what happens to him. So that's just kind of why I was like disappointed and I wasn't too into it. Like it did still read really fast. I really did like the pacing and how it read. Like it wasn't bad on like a line level, but I don't know if it's something that I would really recommend unless it was under like a super specific scenario. Next, I read All Girls Be Mine Alone by Sophie Strohmeier, and I did receive this as an ARC. Thank you very much. And so this book contains 2 short stories, which I was not aware of. And I think the whole thing is like around 150 pages total. So the first one is the shortest one. That one's about a girl who wants to sleep with other women and cool. She gets particularly attached to one of her friend's girlfriends and they fuck behind his back until she like tells on herself to their other mutual friends. And then she gets into a group that shows her how to take over someone else's body without them knowing. This part is a single paragraph and does not get fleshed out in the slightest, but she is able to do that, fucks the girlfriend, gets mad, or not mad. She gets upset that the girlfriend is with the boyfriend instead of with her, and then the story ends. At least that's what I understood from it. Like, the writing was honestly kind of hard to get through at times. Like, very stream of consciousness, but also sometimes a paragraph would literally be 2 sentences that was like huge. Lots of commas. Very hard to get through for that. And like I wasn't like a super huge fan of this first one. It kind of just felt a little bit pointless and also a little icky, but it's okay. It like doesn't expand much on her feelings that she has for women other than she wants to fuck them. And honestly, kind of just felt like I was reading from the point of view of a man anyway. The only reason that I didn't DNF it altogether is because I had after that is when it gets to the point on what I was actually interested in reading. which was with the second story, and that is one that is talked about in the synopsis. So there is apparently an 800-year-old like monk who will occasionally possess like college aged women and then fuck other women. Cool. So the second story starts out with like a college aged girl, and she has a huge crush on like this like professor mentor woman. And so they're having like a little get together, and the woman's telling them about her time in college and how she was possessed by this monk. She goes over how she had this like infatuation with this other girl, and that other people knew that she was possessed by the monk because she would like moan in her sleep. So it's literally her thinking about being with this woman and then having these intrusive thoughts that maybe came from an outside force, and that's kind of it. I can't remember why they like didn't just be together, and I don't know if it really got into that. It's kind of hard to remember because this was like over a month ago now. But there is also a part where she literally like threatens to rape a girl who's scared of her because of the rumors of her being a monk that rapes people. And I didn't think that was funny or really added anything to the story because it's kind of just said and then brushed off. So I don't really know how I feel about that. And at this point, I was like sinking into a slump because it was around the monk part and then it started just taking a downward. Like it was kind of boring, which I hate to say because I'm pretty sure this is a debut and I don't think a lot of people have read it. I'm very sorry, but the cover's really pretty. I mean, this book being only 150 pages, it still did take me like 4 or 5 days to read just because I didn't really like want to pick it up. Sorry, Sophie. So after that, in like a week, I picked up She and Her Cat by Makoto Shinkai and Nagakawa, and it was translated by Ginny Tapley Takamori. And this one contains 4 short stories, which is crazy for like the length of it. And so, since they are so small, I'm not going to go into a lot of like the intimate details of it. But basically, it's about 4 different women going through different stages of their lives. There's one that's like dealing with her relationships, and one dealing with what she wants to do for her career, and one that's like looking back on her life and what she's done with it. And so, in the middle of these, it's also jumping into the point of view of these women's cats, which I thought was done very well and very cute. And each break comes with a little cat icon, which I really loved. Here, I'll show you. Aren't these so cute? So the cat point of views were done like so cutely and so heartwarming. It just kept making me think of like my cat's point of view in our little family. And the characters also sometimes appear in the other stories as well. It could either be as like a passing thought or just like an actual conversation, but the cats are pretty regularly in each other's point of views because they all know each other in some way because they're not just like indoor cats. I thought this story was like perfect for like a cozy little single sit reading, and it's got little pictures. So cute. So I really super like this one, and I did originally read it at my library. I went ahead and grabbed myself a copy to put on my shelf. Um, but I really recommend this one if you just need something to kind of like uplift you, I guess. I thought this was very beautiful, and I love these characters and their pets. And there is a dog in here too. I especially love him. But yeah, you should definitely check this one out. And so, lastly, for November, I did read This Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno, finally. I will say there was a couple of points where I was just going to put this one down to read later. I will say that there is a pretty gnarly, like, gruesomely depicted dog death. And I recently lost one of my family pets, so that was just like particularly intense for me. I also read that part during work, during my lunch break, so that was not fun. But I'm glad that I did end up like finishing it because this is like literally phenomenal. So, loosely, this one is about a man who loses his wife in a tragic accident. Um, the beginning of it starts off like he's writing to her. It's in a like second person point of view, you style of writing, which is it was a little bit to get used to, but it really didn't take that long. And I will say, like, I think that Moreno wrote grief so beautifully and so rawly. Like, his feelings for his wife were so all consuming and crushing that it was literally hurting my chest. And I annotated that on the 14th page. Like, the voice was done so well, and it just got so much more like creepy and intense as the book went on, especially at the end. It's kind of hard for me to figure out how I want to talk about this one because there's a lot of important things that kind of tie together at the end. Like everything is important for the end. So I don't think I can talk about it like too intimately. The ending like really is kind of a shock. So I guess that's kind of what I'm gonna leave it with. Sorry I didn't go too far into that one. I just think it's so good. Like it's like right about 250 pages. It reads really quickly. It is very, very fast paced and it's written beautifully. Just thinking about some of the scenes in here, it's like kind of like a cosmic style horror, if that makes sense. But that's where I'll leave you on that one. This was really, really good. Currently the 24th, and so I've been taking it pretty easy this month, like getting around, getting ready for the holidays. So I finished two books, and I might finish a third because the one that I'm starting literally today is my book club book, and I want to be 12 for 12. So I need to get on that one. I don't, if I really apply myself, I don't think it'll take me that long, but I've just been kind of wanting to focus on like my other hobbies a little bit more. And then also, I'm reading Restoration by Ava Barrera, and I'm reading it on my phone, which I really do not prefer. I do have a Kindle. The only thing is on my Kindle, I did the airplane mode thing. So because I literally got Bad Bad Girl, Cursed Daughters, which I have finished both of those, and Local Heavens like within days of each other. I obviously did not really have all that much time to finish all of them, so I airplane moded my Kindle, and now that I have Restoration, if I take it off, it's going to take Local Heavens off, and I have been wanting to read that, so I can't do that. But I'm wanting to read Restoration first so that I can do the 12 for 12. Who knew reading would be so stressful? And then sneak peek for what I'm reading next, Local Heavens, duh. But I also have The Shards by Bret Easton Ellis coming out soon. It says available soon on my Libby app. And then I also have The Definitions by Matt Green, which I have been so pumped to read. I think it came out like on the 2nd of this month. So I'm excited to get that one. That one also says available soon. And then after those, I'm planning on reading a whole bunch of my physical books because those have been accumulating, and also because I've been reading a lot on my Kindle recently, and I really just need to have some physical copies in my hands. Okay, let me know what you think, as always, in the comments. Like, subscribe, and share, please. And then I hope you have a wonderful holiday, whatever you're celebrating or whatever you're not celebrating. And I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.